Hey everyone, and here we are, live for the Fierce and Fabulous Society talk show that comes to you, did I say live, every single Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And it has been a fierce and fabulous week already, even though it is only Tuesday, and I've had the pleasure this week of spending time with the most incredible women. And we have had book launches, we have had celebrations, and tonight I've got a special treat for you because tonight I have a quite magnificent woman. She is, in fact, the Queen Bee herself. And we have live in the talk show tonight, DANI WALLACE. DANI is joining us in the room today. Hey, DANI.
Hi, do you know what? It never fails to tickle me when people introduce me. That's the Queen Bee herself. And I bet you people are out there thinking, who's the chuff is this person? Who does she think she is coming in here telling everyone she's the Queen Bee? And I'm thrilled to be here as well, Marielle. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are welcome, honey. And do you know something that's really funny, isn't it? An online space is quite bloody magnificent because how many people do you have? Do you feel really connected to here that you would say are in your kind of inner sphere and you've never met them?
Yes, 100%. It's this really interesting. I mean, particularly for me, I've been going live and doing, this sort of thing now for about 8 years. And the community that I've built, the IATQB community, the hive, as we like to call ourselves, there are people in there that I have never met before. And there's this sort of parasocial relationship that happens where they feel really connected to me, but I feel absolutely deeply, inherently connected to these people that come and they show up and they come and have these conversations, and it's just bloody brilliant. I think it's amazing.
It is incredible, isn't it? And you are, for me, in that space because we share lots of common connections. And isn't that, I think that's been the biggest thing for me about being a businesswoman, is just the enormity of connections. Barriers come crashing down if you're someone who's pushing change, pushing personal development, pushing shifting your identity all the time.
Yeah.
Doors to all these people who are thinking the same, like-minded as you, start to open. And because you feel connected in that way, they then open doors again. And before you know it, you feel like you've been hanging out with people and you have to sense check going, because I did that with you. I thought, shit, I've never met you. Do you know? But I know tons of folk that have, with your Be Inspired work, and loads of people talking about your energy. So, DANI, I know that there's tons of people out there tonight and who watch us on replay who may say, the Queen who?
Who is she?
Who the devil is she? Or is in the voice of have you ever heard of Gary Tank Commander?
No.
Oh, he's a Scottish comedian from the East Coast, right?
I need to check
and
him
he
out.
says, and he used to do a program. I never really watched it, but I only liked one line, and it was like he used to say, "Who am I?" No, DANI WALLACE, who are you?
Who am I? Well, it's a big one. That who am I? It's a big question for a Tuesday evening. But I mean, if once we get over the audacity of the fact that I introduce myself as the Queen Bee, actually, I need to make sure that everybody knows that it's absolutely nothing to do with me, that statement, and everything to do with everybody watching at home. The phrase "I am the Queen Bee" is a reclamation statement. I was really annoyed when I found out that the Queen was born the Queen and I was born on the council estates of Preston. Furious was I that I found that people were born into abundance and wealth and lovely, calm, peaceful families, and I was born into abject chaos and living on the breadline and struggle and what have you. And it really kind of got my go, and it took me to sort of grow older and do a lot of personal development, self-reflection. Lots of things happened for me to actually realize that no, all of these things, health, wealth, good relationships, good friends, a good business, all of this sort of stuff, is my birthright. I've just got to be a little bit more tenacious about finding it. So what I do now is I am a singer, motivational speaker, public speaking coach is my main job. So I help people share their business and mission message out of their mouths and into the ears of the people that they really want to work with. Because I think a lot of us, I mean, particularly women or anybody that's othered really, hides behind their story or their adversity or their business or their logo. They'll kind of just stand behind it like this. And actually, our voices are our superpowers hidden in plain sight. It's the tool that most of us use every single day, but we don't use it to the best of our ability. So I help people in my community use their voice so that they can take up space. So it isn't just about speaking on stage, it's about asking for the things you chuffing want in life. It's about, sharing your boundaries so that other people can hear them and know how to treat you properly. So that's a little bit about what I do. And there's some other things that I do as well. I'm an
I know
author
there's
and a
a
writer
whole
and events.
ton
There's
of
all
stuff.
sorts I do.
But it's like when the folk I have on the talk show, there's always like just this connection for a reason. And now I know your story, and it's when I come from a small town in the east coast of Scotland called Methil. Now, I don't know, have you ever heard of the Proclaimers?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so you get Methil no more, right?
Yeah.
I'm from Methil.
Right.
Now, just like small mining community, nobody really left the village. You went to school, you came back, and that's about as far as you went, and that was quite adventurous. But it's that whole social limitation, expectation. Like I always say, I felt like I actually thought I was adopted, right?
Because you felt so different.
So different. And even now I watch Long Lost Families, and I got my husband, I'm sure I'm adopted. And you go, have you taken a look at your mother?
Are you like identical to your mum? There's no way that you could have been from anybody else, but
No,
this is
but
his
I said,
heart that doesn't belong here.
I said, listen, but it doesn't need to be like that, because dogs begin to look like their owners. Do you know what I mean? But I always thought, I felt like I was getting brought up in a Tupperware box with a lid on it. And when I listen to your story and just the impact that early life can have on your voice, your expectations of self, the judgments, choices, because they really impacted you too.
Absolutely, yeah. And these things that happen to us as children, our formative years, really do go on to inform the things that we do in our late teens, early 20s. And often for people who don't have the opportunity or haven't had the kind of the doors open for them to become self-aware, often go into their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even throughout their whole lives, not knowing that things can possibly be any different. It's a conversation I often have with my mum. People like us from where I came from didn't go on to become successful entrepreneurs, or they didn't go on to become singers, or they didn't go on to become entertainers, or they didn't have aspirations to write books and things like that. People like that, people like me didn't do that. We don't do that. Like, we were the kind of family, and we were from the kind of community that in order to do something like go to Disneyland, we were going to have to win the lottery. So anything that was aspirational, we'll get that really nice car when we win the lottery. We'll go on a nice holiday when we win the lottery. So everything good in life was going to have to be thrown open to fate. There was no responsibility on ourselves to go out there and try and achieve that. And I, like you, had that real wanderlust for that way of living. Like I surely there's got to be something different. That guy over there can do it. Like, why aren't we doing this sort of stuff?
And then it was shh, you can't think like that.
Don't be rocking the ball.
Don't be rocking the boat. Do you know? Certainly, it's like parallel things, because I would be the expectation was to grow up, live beside your mother, marry somebody that she liked, have children, work in the bottling factory, and die. Mm-hmm. In that kind of sort of order. As long as you got married before you had a baby, everything was fine.
Right.
But if you didn't, you were a troublemaker. Mm-hmm. And if you left the village, you were a disappointment.
Yeah. How can you leave? How can you move away? There was a lot of guilt tied up when I was sort of 17, 18. I eventually, because it was really chaotic, the way that we grew up. Mum was the matriarch and the linchpin for a lot of our family. So aunties, uncles, cousins, what have you, would all come and stay with us. Our house was the hub. But my dad had a problem with alcohol. There was lots of things that went on around that, all of which we bore witness to. So by the time we got to 17, 18, I was out. I didn't want any part of it. In fact, I got as far away as I could, essentially ran away with the circus. Like, it was
Yeah. And you literally did run
Yeah.
away with the circus.
Yeah, not actually the circus, but I ended up singing
Yeah.
like in hotels all over the world, on cruise ships and all of that sort of stuff. I didn't realize at the time. I thought it was me following my dreams, but I could have done all of that much closer to home.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was so far away. It was me trying to completely distance myself from there. And at the time, I remember my family, my friends, they all thought I was on my holidays. Oh, have you had a nice holiday? I'm like, I'm working all the hours, God sends, just that you can't see it, and it happens to be sunshiny where I am. And secondly, when am I going to get a proper job? It's not a proper job, God.
I bet.
It's not a proper job, Danny.
Do you know one of the, just before we came live, folks, myself and Danny were just talking about being parents, being mums, having girls. And I always remember Danny having the choice between, I always say I was born really smart. That was the one thing that got me out of the village.
Yeah.
Was just being born smart. And so I did get the chance to go to university, and I had a choice of doing a degree in fine art or a degree in occupational therapy. And at the time I was told by my surroundings, oh, you don't want to be an artist. That's not a proper job. You'll
not make any money.
You'll not make any money. Now, at the time, don't get me wrong, I did become an occupational therapist. It served me well. That's a whole other story. But do you know what the pinnacle was? My 18-year-old daughter, I remember her being just about to turn 17, and she had a big decision to make. And the decision was, will I do engineering or will I do a degree in fine art? Right. And I said to her, I says, what one do you think you'll do? She says, I think I'll do the engineering. I says, why? She says, because I'll make more money.
I'll make money.
And I said, well, what if you could make the same money in both? And she says, oh, I'd be an artist. And I says, well, there's no choice. And I got to pack her off 2 weeks ago to Dundee University to do a degree in
that makes me so happy. And do you know what? This is indoctrinated in us at school. So, we are, blessed are not the artists. The term poor artist is a term, like, it's born out of cliche, but the cliche is a cliche because it's true. There's so many artists are poor artists. We've got to starve for our art. Or if we make money from it, then we're not a proper artist. I carried a lot of that with me for a long time as a musician. I carried that with me for a long time. As somebody, as an event producer, which is a lot of what I do now. So I'd done that for years and years and years, but didn't really consider myself an artist because I was making good money from it. So you can't make good money and be an artist. And then I just realized there's so much tied up in what our perception of what is a proper job. And the arts, and a perfect example is in the last 18 months, the first thing to go away and the first thing and the last thing to come back was what? It was the arts. It was
totally.
And also the first thing that we turned to in a time of crisis. Everyone's watching Netflix. Everyone started to create stuff. Everyone started to film stuff. Suddenly we're watching things on TikTok. Suddenly the artists,
dancing, music, the whole thing.
Right.
We all connected back to here, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Really boosted our senses as other things shifted around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. And this sort of stuff absolutely fascinates me. And do you know what's been really interesting today? This is just kind of me thinking out loud. I've had some brilliant conversations today. I get to go and, I get to talk on podcasts all the time, on TV, radio, and what have you. Today particularly, and I don't know what's been different about today, that I've had some really meaty conversations and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Thank you for talking about this because it's so important to me.
Good. Because the thing is with it, certainly as a mum, being able to, do you know when there's been tons of times, I always say that I never really boomed until I hit 40. Yeah. So I've had the last decade of taking, I had all these hats and everybody clapped and inside I was miserable. And I never really boomed until that age. And I've had many times when I've looked back on that life and thought, I wish I had. And you're attaching yourself to that kind of negative feeling. Yeah. But actually seeing that moment with my daughter, Orla, it all kind of just came to be that exactly the right thing had happened to allow me to be in that space at that moment, to understand what was truly important, to totally serve someone else.
Right.
and impact a human being's life forever.
Yeah.
And had I not been faced with that journey and having to make those decisions, I wouldn't have been able to be the best mum in that moment.
And here's the beautiful impact that we get to have as we become more awake. I know, like, kind of people talk about being woke, but as
Yeah.
we become more awake and more self-aware, more aware of our power, that
Yeah.
actually what you've done there is you made a change for tomorrow. Like,
Totally.
I think previously there's been a lot of keep things as they are, because if you think about it, like the generations before us survived the wars, survived a lot of, you know, disease and what have you, and anything that threw you out of safety made
Yeah.
you unsafe, right? Whereas now, I think that our particular fight is not a physical one anymore. It's one that we get to change the world differently. It's our job now, our generation, to almost right the wrongs, almost to do things differently so that we can lift our girls and our boys and our people up, so that they can start living with in their joy. And they said this is waking up that's happening, and I feel it, viscerally feel it with my kids.
Yeah.
I've got a 13-year-old, 11-year-old, 5-year-old, who
Wow.
I'm only 37. They're teaching me things because of how open we are and what access they've got to different sort of language, different sorts of conversations, different genders, sexualities,
Oh,
all of
totally.
this sort of stuff, really bringing these conversations to the table. And it is amazing. They say that, you know, dark times die one funeral at a time. Science progresses one funeral at a time. You know, things only change one funeral at a time. And actually, we are a generation where we get to say, no, we get to do this while we're alive. Thank you very much.
Totally.
We get to be a part of the change. Thank you very much. The cycle stops with me. Thank you very much. And I think that it's amazing. The more that we talk about this, the more you talk about this, the more other people start. There's this Chinese proverb. It goes, when sleeping women awaken, mountains move. And that is what I feel like is happening right now.
Totally. And I know that we've both got daughters, and
Mm.
actually mine's a little bit ahead. So my youngest is 18 and my elder daughter is 22. But being able to step in now to see, it's like all of that investment, because you know you're investing for the future of your child. And don't get me wrong, see, growing up with a coach as a mother, oh my, that was tough. If you can survive that. But actually now what I hear is all the wee phrases and stuff that I would come out with, that they would roll their eyes and walk out the door, and you hear it coming back and they're going, oh, I so get that. I so get that.
And then that's when they start to kick themselves. They go, I sound like my mum. And the difficulty is when I sound like my mum, when that sort of this is the power of this. When I sound like my mum, I actually sound like the archaic bit of my mum. The bit, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, oh God, I've got to hold myself in and just go, no, actually, no, we're okay. Everything's cool. Like, we lift the lid off this, right? We think about things differently. And to think that, you know, when they go, oh, I sound like my mum, it'll be for a different reason.
But you know, the thing is that we're sitting here, right, and I feel really blessed that the world at some point brought a combination of factors around me that allowed me to make a step that for many years felt too terrifying to even contemplate. And I feel really blessed, and I know that's something that we are absolutely connected on here. And there'll be people listening, there'll be women out there listening. It doesn't matter the guys, it doesn't matter who you are, they'll be listening thinking, but how do you do that? Because human beings will choose death over uncertainty.
Right.
And everything that we're talking about, everything I know that you do for a living as well, is all about pushing the boundaries into uncertainty, which is where learning exists, change exists, growth exists, and huge identity shifts.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people out there who are going, oh my God, I can't stay here, but I can't go. I can't stay here, but I can't go?
I think what is always worth there's this mantra that I use with a lot of my clients, a lot of my community, and it is the mantra or the affirmation that success is safe. Like, if we look at success as a holistic concept, so success for some people might mean a ton of money in the bank, or it might mean never having to work again, or it might mean lots of sex all the time, or it might mean lots of time with your family. But success actually is a holistic thing. So success is your, good quality relationships, strong finances. And we're not talking about having like an overabundance of that, but being safe, having security, having a roof over your head, being able to go into the shops and not have to worry about the price tag of what it is that you're looking at. Success looks different for everybody, but it is a holistic piece. Success then, with that in mind, can only be safe. The unsafety comes from you have to, in order to attain that, if you don't have that already, in order to attain that, you have to do something differently. So remembering the concept that actually success is safe. Like when you get there, it's safe. You are secure. You are, financially in a strong place. You have good relationships. So success is holistic. This is not just one. If you only ever look at one aspect of success and that be it, the one, then it becomes unsafe because something else will have to be compromised. So you have to look at it as the whole. That is a place of safety.
Totally.
What you have to be in order to get that may be different. Different does not equate to unsafety, like being unsafe. So I think that when we get our heads around that, because the thing is, whenever we try anything new, our brains, the bit of our brains that haven't caught up with this construct around us, is still an animal. However, big-headed we are animals. We are mammalian beings. It is what it is. We just happen to be able to impress thought upon the things around us to create stuff. We're very lucky like that, but we are still animals. And our brains are designed to keep us alive. So if we look at anything different being unsafe, and being unsafe means death, then it means that we will flee or fight, whatever it is that is different for us. So understanding the concept of success is safe, and daring to do something different. Like the people that do this, that are in pursuit of success, are the freaks, are the strangers, are the weirdos, because they are the people that are willing to do that which the normal person is not willing to do in order to get what it is. And this concept of being different is scary. That's what's scary.
Totally.
Who do I have to be in order to do this? What do I have to do differently? And the thing is, what has ever kept you alive so far has kept you alive so far. So your brain's thinking, well, this is all right. We're alive. We're doing good, boys. We're alive. It's good. To do anything differently is going to throw that into this, and then it's unsafe.
Yeah.
It's understanding that those behaviours to create success are safe.
Yeah.
Oh, I got my soapbox then.
You did, Pete. You did.
I got excited about success. I feel a lot about it.
I'm just sitting thinking, oh my God, it's really getting dark.
Because normally,
honestly, there's been a real shift in the light, because up in Scotland, because our light's a wee bit different. Oh my God, the last week, when I did this last week, I didn't need any additional lighting, but I'm starting to disappear.
You've gone dark. The sun is set over here. It's definitely dark outside.
I'm going to have a better setup next week. But as you were talking, what I was thinking, one of the things that I always remember consciously connecting into was that it's that whole thing of the physiological response that you have to fear, to disruption, is exactly the same as the physiological response you will have to excitement. Right. It's just that your brain has went, oh no, shit, that's scary. And bungee jumping, that's exciting. Right. Now for me, I'd say bungee jumping, no chance, pal. No, that's fearful. But actually bringing that to consciousness, I remember really helping, because in those moments, when I'd taken the Indiana Jones step onto the invisible bridge, and voila, it kind of appeared. And I stopped worrying about that step, and then had to start thinking about how I could stay there.
Yeah.
Do you know? And that's when the fear would come in. And that's when the impact of having the right people keeping you on the bridge and not taking the step back again.
Yeah, the hands at your back.
Totally.
We talk about in my community, we talk about we're the hands at each other's backs. So if somebody is taking a step, yes, we're cheering them along. Yes, amazing, go take the step. But we're here just in case. Don't worry, we're safe. This is safe. We're safe. You're safe. We're safe. I'm safe.
Yeah.
And it's powerful, really powerful.
And it's that word you've used there. And I know that you do this in the Hive and with your Be Inspired, of bringing communities together of people to share their voice. to be able to have their mission, their narrative out there, because we're all completely unique. And I always say we each have a social responsibility to get that out, because there may just be one person in this whole world who will only ever hear what I have got to say. You could say it 20 times, somebody else could. And that's when people will say to me, but I don't really want to say what I've got to say because everybody else has already said it.
Right.
But you haven't.
You haven't said it.
You haven't.
Yes.
And it's that community of, you need a lot of support to have belief, just to keep you in that space until you've done it. So tell us a wee bit more about the Be Inspired community, because I know, because I've got a wee thing here just to be able to tell folk about it for you. That's coming up on the 30th of September and the 1st.
Oh, you put it in a graphic as well. I'm so grateful that
you are welcome.
We're talking about
really
this.
Worth it. Because I know that we've got some shared friends taking part in this, and we're all cheering everybody on.
Absolutely.
Because tell us all about Be Inspired, Danny.
So Be Inspired was born of, when I originally kind of came out as a motivational speaker, like I really put my flag in the floor and I allowed myself to arrive in my space. So I'd already been going live and building a community. But when I talk about success, I talk about it I call it the 3-stage super awesome success cycle, right? It's very snappily named, I understand. But the idea is that in order to rise up, you need to do 2 things. You need to show up and you need to wise up. You need to learn what you need to learn in order to get the thing that you want. And you need to show the F up for it. Now, lots of people become knowledgeable fools. They do lots and lots of learning and not a lot of doing. Or they do lots and lots of doing and not be open to learning. So in order to get the real results they want, they need to do those 2 things. So a few years ago, I decided to put on an event where I started to do motivational speaking. No one was giving me the stage. I was like saying, oh, I'm a motivational speaker. Put me on the stage. Do you want to book me? And like, because I had no form, I had no proof, I was like shut down and just ignored. Oh, she's just somebody else trying to be a speaker, or she's somebody from MLM and she's trying to be a speaker. No, I wasn't. I've got 25 years experience on stage. I've got 15 years experience in learning development in the corporate world. I am able to like, girl, you want me on your stage, right? So instead of me not doing that, I gave myself a stage. I created an event, told my community, hey, y'all, we're having an event. It's going to be a personal development event. Come on along. We're going to raise some money for domestic abuse charities, because my history is that's something that I've experienced, and homelessness. And it started there. And then I was like, right, how do I use this as a platform to raise people up, to help them? They say if they're seeking a stage or they're wanting to connect with their story and share that in this really powerful environment where not only the audience get incredible value, but you get to create your assets so that you can go on to speak. Because I've found that in my experience of being a speaker, you need things like a show reel. You need things like photos of you on stage in action to prove that you've got form in front of a big audience. So what we've done is we've created this event to orchestrate those 2 things. One, as a gift to my community. So they've got an incredible event that they can come to that is personal development, business development, spiritual development. So it doesn't matter whether you've got a business or not. There is something for everybody as a part of Be Inspired. But also those people that I work with have that platform to share in a really safe, loving, encouraging way their mission, their business, the reason why they get out of bed in the morning. And everybody's just learning from each other. It's just this massive love fest of an event, which has now grown. So in April, we took that to a TV studio. And because we couldn't do it live, we weren't able to because of lockdown, but it was phenomenal. So now what we've got is this hybrid version of Be Inspired, where we've got Manchester, the Impossible. I just love the venue. The fact that it's called the Impossible is brilliant. We take over that venue for 2 whole days, Thursday, Friday next week in this instance. But I've also got a TV quality tech team in there to stream it for those that can't travel. So we've got on demand, like you can access the event on demand, like dip in and out of it. You can attend it live if you want to attend it live. We've got some wicked celebs coming along to come and speak as well. One of the beautiful things about the IATQB community is that we do have people that are just starting out in business, people that are interested in personal development. But we've also got multimillionaires, we've got pop stars in there, TV personalities in there. It's just this big melting pot of awesome. So we've got Sandra from Gogglebox is coming to speak.
My goodness.
Yeah, we've got Sandra from Gogglebox coming to speak. We've got incredible Instagram influencer Queen Mojo, who's, if you don't follow her Instagram account is just joy in like personified. It's amazing. We've got business experts coming in. So we've got Dan Meredith, who's the author of How to Be Effing Awesome. He uses the actual swear on the book. And also The Apprentice's Jess Cunningham is coming to speak as well. So not only have we got sort of 20 incredible speakers over the course of 2 days, we've got these brilliant sort of celeb or really well-positioned entrepreneur speakers and teachers and motivators. And we've also got a PR panel as well. So our PR company coming in and bringing in national journalists. And it's just a big cacophony of awesome I am so excited about next week.
I can feel the energy reeking off you.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
My goodness. And I know that you are just in the build-up to being able to get that and pull all that together and host that.
Yeah.
So how can people get tickets to be able to see this, whether they're at home or whether they can get to Manchester?
Yeah, if they can get to Manchester, they can come on either or of the 2 days or both. Or if you want to watch it at home, you can do. If you just go to iamthequeenbee.co.uk/events and you can grab your ticket there.
How amazing is that? How amazing is that? It has been an absolute pleasure. And do you know the best bit, and I've been saving this bit till last, is that you know, and I know because we've been talking about a summit that I haven't told anybody about this because I was sitting about a week and a half ago having a conversation and thought, do you know something? Let's see if we can pull something together, because we're talking about women, business, challenges, what this year's been like, how everything's starting to open. And how it's really easy to lose your energy and all of that. Yeah. And how do we actually start supporting people to really get ready now, not in January, but now to really be able to show up back there in that time frame. So I know that I am really delighted that you have agreed to be a guest
I'm so excited to be part of this.
Me too. So it's going to be the Fierce and Fabulous Society Women in Business Summit that will be running on the 3rd, 4th and 5th of November. And I'm just putting in there, but see on the 4th, it's my birthday. So, and you are coming to be able to join us on the 3rd to kick it off.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And the really important message in all of this, I think, is just what you said. We always wait for the new year or the next quarter or September. And the thing is, there are, when you have a tree, they are best planted 2 times. One is 20 years ago, and the second is today. Not next week, not next month, not in January. So the more you can get involved in things like this, it really does help you gain that momentum.
Yeah. And what I would say to people is the one thing I remember back in my life, I would always wait and I think, oh, this isn't the right time. This isn't the right time. But actually, there was last week, decided in a day, literally thought, who would I love? What 9 people would I love to have in space? And phoned them up. I didn't know all of them. I didn't know. We'd never actually had conversations, but we're aware of each other. And guess what? They said yes.
They all say, yeah. It doesn't surprise me either.
They said yes. But if you had said that to me 20 years ago, I'd have went, nah.
Right.
Nah. And it's just, that is there for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there sitting for all of us. And nowadays, of course, we have online, we have the internet. Our world is so small to be able to reach out and to be able to connect with the most incredible people. So I am so excited that we'll be able to hear the stories of Be Inspired. Folks, if you're wanting to be able to get tickets for that, to be able to sit in your house and be able to see all of that magnificence and feel that energy, just pop out looking for, tell us again, Dani, where to get these tickets.
iamthequeenbee.co.uk/events, or you could come and follow me on the socials at the Queen Bee Dani, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. I'm all over the place.
And she is all over. She is all over.
Omnipresent.
And once you see that bee buzzing about, you'll see it everywhere. It'll be like white cat. The moment you see her, she'll be there all the time. Honey, it has been a true pleasure to spend time with you today.
So great. So great.
Oh, you're very welcome, and really lovely just to be able to announce the summit that's coming up for women in business from the Fierce and Fabulous Society. Fabulous. So everyone, remember, we are here for the Fierce and Fabulous Society talk show every single
See,
Tuesday.
my daughter
evening,
just
7
is
o'clock.
just.
Oh, is she in?
Gagging in. Hang
Oh,
on a minute,
hey
we're
there,
nearly done.
honey.
We're just wrapping up. I'm so sorry.
And I think anybody that actually follows you will know your little ones can just kind of pop up. And how beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? So everybody, I'll see you back here next Tuesday, 7 o'clock at the Fierce and Fabulous Society talk show. Dani Wallace, you are indeed an inspiration. And good night, everyone. Have a magnificent week ahead. Take care.